Hello, Junior Achievement students. I'm Kristen, the Education and Events Manager, and today we are lucky enough to have Mitch Harrigan from Allstate. Thanks for being here, Mitch.
Glad to be here.
And Mitch is just going to tell you a little bit about his career and how he got to where he is. So Mitch, why don't you just introduce yourself? And I like to start all the way from childhood and maybe what you thought you would be, the jobs that you had in high school or maybe college, and where you are now.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll stay away from jokes about from the movie The Jerk. I won't go that way. I don't know if you've seen that one, but I was born here in Reno. I've been here, born at St. Mary's 55 years ago. My family divorced when I was young. I was 3 years old. We moved to Fallon. I grew up in Fallon. I had my mom and dad both in the picture, but they were divorced and separated, and it caused some issues. But my mom ran a business. She worked 2 jobs, and we ran the theater in Fallon. I learned and saw how hard she worked, and I just kind of expected that of myself all the time. It's hard work to do anything you do. But I went to school. I had pretty decent grades in school, and did well. And in high school, I worked at a plant nursery and hauling plants around and watering the plants and just doing whatever was asked. And I did well with that because I tend to be not like authority, but the boss tells you to do this. If you don't do it, you don't get a paycheck. So I did that and did very well, and enjoyed it. When I slowed down enough to look at what I was doing, that's one of the best times of my life. I loved it. Loved having that job in high school. And I was 17 or 18 and got out of college, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I did know what I wanted to do. I wanted to study computers, and I wanted to be an influential speaker. I said that one time. I wanted to go. I was a big fish in a little pond in Fallon, and I was going to go change the world. And things rarely work out exactly like you plan it. I asked my dad at that age, what should I be? And he said, you should be an insurance agent, because he was an accountant, and insurance agents did very well, made a lot of money at the time. And that was the last thing I wanted to do. So I went to college and studied computers, and took classes and did all that stuff, and realized that I really didn't have the work ethic even at that point that I needed. And I ended up getting married young, went to 1 year of college, got married the next year, moved back to Reno, and continued my education. But we had a child a year after we were married, and I learned what it was to work hard, to have a job, and have a child, and be raising a child. We were gloriously happy. I have here, let me see. I have a picture. There's my 3 children. The oldest is on the left. It's backwards here. This is my oldest, who is 35 years old and works for, just got a promotion to a job in West Virginia for Volunteer West Virginia. And I know a little bit about what you're doing, Kristen, in Junior Achievement. It's a nonprofit organization helping local people. And boy, I appreciate what you do, because my daughter does the same thing. She helps administer the AmeriCorps grant. Used to be for the state of Nevada, and now she's doing it in West Virginia. So I appreciate you and what you do in your organization, because it's very well worth it. It's why I'm thrilled to be here. So anyway, I can talk forever. You got to stop me if you need me to.
No, keep going. I mean,
okay.
I would like to say we couldn't do anything without our volunteers, but then I'm going to let you keep going.
So, but anyway, I've got 3 kids. I worked for my father I didn't go change the world immediately. I went to school, shifted my degree, because I realized that raising children and helping the young people, that's really what I wanted to do. I loved being a father, loved doing that. So I went and got my degree in education, and I taught for a year at Worcester High School. I didn't have a full year contract. And so the year Galena High School opened, I didn't get shifted. I had a 1-year contract. So I started my career as an entrepreneur. I did just about everything. I have failed at all kinds of things. But the secret to success is you never fail. You learn from what you do, and you learn something else, and try different things. It never fails. It's never a failure. Whoever you work for, you're going to learn something from. Whoever you don't get along with, you're going to learn something from. So you keep doing it. I ran a badge making business. I owned a bicycle shop in Elko. I ran a weight loss center here from my father. I worked for a company that sold wine barrels. I don't have that picture on my wall. I did all kinds of things, and I met people, and I networked, and I met other business people, and they are my mentors. I just came from a LATIP meeting on Wednesday mornings, and that's where I met the person who owned the Allstate office that I'm in today. And when he was going to retire, it was the perfect time for me. The timing, I was 49 years old before I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. But the timing of that was, I asked him, hey, I'm being recruited for insurance. It's what my dad told me how to be when I was a kid, and I never wanted to be. But I had enough set aside so that I could do a down payment. It took me a lot of years to do it. I kept going, put my kids through college, did all that stuff, worked my tail off in everything that I did, and then the right opportunity came. So I was able to purchase this Allstate office. I have grown it and purchased others and done a bunch of stuff. But it's every day. It's work every day. I know people that want to not. Their goal is to not work. I would go nuts not working. The jobs that I've had, worked for a guy out of California that sold wine barrels, and he that was his second job. He was tremendously successful selling computer filters in New York City. And told me that story, and he retired. He made enough money he could retire, and he retired, bought some golf clubs, went and golfed every day for 6 months, and just realized he was I'm sick of this. And so he threw his golf clubs back in the trunk and went and got a job working out of his car selling wine barrels. Worked his way up to where he owned half the company, and I learned a ton from him. So everything you do it as I really enjoy it, work hard at it, and there will be opportunities for you. I talked to a lady this morning on the phone. My plan is eventually to retire, not for a lot of years, 10 or 15 years, but I'm meeting people and talking to people to help fulfill my goals going forward. You got to make friends, you got to know people. So boom, there's my life story.
That's amazing. You hit on a lot of the questions I have, like about mentors and things that you've learned. But I think a lot of people think, I'm going to go to school for this, or I'm going to learn this trade, and that's all that goes into it. But there is so much that you learn from sports or clubs or mentors or other jobs. So is there any activity that you were a part of growing up that maybe helped you with polish your people skills that brought you to where you are?
Yeah, I was a shy, timid kid most of my life. I went to and when I was a sophomore, I went to the Hugh O'Brien Leadership Foundation seminar, and I was a shy kid, and I didn't even talk to people. There were only 4 boys in that group, and there was 3 from every high school in the state, and there's only like 4 guys in there. So boys are not as talkative as girls, I guess. Maybe this is back in the 80s. But I saw people at that, and I saw how engaged they were, and I saw how talkative they were. And so I just vowed, I'm going to be that person. It took me a lot of years. I ran for a class treasurer for like 3 years in a row. And my senior year in high school, I ran for class president. And I became talkative because I was forced to talk. I had to speak at pep rallies. I had to, have the microphone. I just engaged myself with people. I was not on the football team, and I was not on the band. I was one of my favorite things is we would go to all the football games, and we would cheer and scream and yell, and the band had rules to follow. So we didn't like the cheers that the band did in the music. So we'd scream out our own. And I remember one time one of the girls looked over and said, see, and I was a nerd in high school. I was good grades and that kind of stuff. And one of the people looked, I thought I would never tell this story in public. one of the girls looked over and said, see, our nerds are cool. And I made nerddom cool in my school. But just find opportunities to meet people, to talk to people. They call it networking in business. And I didn't realize I didn't know how to do it, but I found opportunities. That word networking always scared me. Just go talk to people, just meet people. I was able to buy my business because of a local networking group. And still to this day, I talk to new people that come in that are quiet and say, you've got to just meet people, keep talking to people, keep meeting people. Opportunities will come from that.
Awesome. I was also class treasurer.
All righty.
Student body treasurer, but I have a similar story. I was so shy, and my sister, who's 16 months older, but a year ahead in high school, said, no, you're going to do this. You're going to run for this. You're going to join this club. So it was all forced on me, and I had to talk to people. And now I have to talk to people. So
yeah, that's
almost
it.
the same exact story.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I heard some wonderful piece of advice enthusiasm counts for at least 25 IQ points. And I believe it's more than that. And this is the guy who started the internet. His name, kk.com. You can look at his website. And I believe that to this day. I think that my enthusiasm has overcome any lacks of whatever I didn't have. Enthusiasm and energy, can make up for a lot of stuff. So
I've said that to my husband too. Like, if you say anything with confidence, some people are going to go along with it. So
yeah, that's true. Gotta have it. Yeah. The layman term for that is fake it till you make it, but we can use it for things. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's amazing on your job story. Right now, obviously, we're going through kind of a crisis with the coronavirus, but we can prepare for any crisis. Do you have any advice financially or even insurance-wise on just how to stay prepared?
Yes. Avoid debt as much as possible. I have a college degree. I have all that stuff. I know that you can do as well as anybody else without a college degree, and that a lot of people are going to not like that I said that, but I see a lot of people that go into debt to go to college, and it takes a lot of years of school to go be a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that. And if that's not what you want to be, or you don't have the ability to go do that, that's okay. You can do very well. Some of the most successful people I know are electricians and plumbers and tradespeople, and they live wonderful and they have fun in their life. They don't spend 20 years becoming what they went to school to be, and then have $100,000 in debt on top of it, and then you can't really have fun because you're paying off your debt. My recommendation: be frugal. If you make a little bit of money, set it aside. Don't have debt. I did. I had a lot growing up, and I struggled all my life to do it. When we're finally able to get out from under that debt, that's when I really started living. So from insurance, find a good investment advisor. I had a bookkeeping teacher in high school. Said put $5 away every week. But if you don't get yourself into debt, by the time you're 30, you're going to have so much opportunity, you won't know what to do with it. So if we're talking to young people that are in high school, get a part-time job, put $5 away from your paycheck every week and don't spend it. And when you buy a car, get an old used one and save money, and that's going to give you as much opportunity as anything else. You can struggle and work and do that, but if your money works for you, that's the best way to do it, because that's not work. It takes care of you. So work hard, save your money, try not to get into debt as much as you can, unless it's an investment. Home is a good thing to invest in and get into debt. But that from a general overall, so there you go.
I agree. And just so you know, Junior Achievement does not push college. We also push working hard and trying different things. So my husband didn't go to college and is a cabinet maker, and he sees these kids come out of like ACE charter school and they already know AutoCAD. So just polish skills in whatever way. And obviously, if you're going to become a doctor, please go to college.
Yeah, no, and you do. And if that's what you want to do, that's a very noble profession.
Right.
I had to go to college to get it. My degree is in education, and I went and taught high school. My best friend, it was a teacher, and he's just retired. I started my business at this Allstate 6 years ago, and I'm going to work till I'm 65. But my friend in high school that I met in kindergarten just retired, and his wife just retired, and they've got kids that are just starting high school, and they are going to just have a wonderful rest of their life, traveling around, going to their kids in college and that kind of stuff. So um, he got started early and did it and did well. So there's 100 different paths to take. Don't let somebody push you down one single path, because if that one doesn't work, there's always another one that you can go down.
Good advice. One more thing, and then I'll let you go.
Mhm.
Since we are
Okay.
all kind of going through something together with the coronavirus, can you tell us how both your personal life and your professional life have changed with all of this going on?
Interestingly, well, I'm in the financial services industry. I had to stay open. I was an essential service. We learned that we were spending too much money eating out, and because we couldn't eat out. I lost 19 pounds. I call it my COVID-19 when we first started eating at home, and I realized, wow, I need to do this. It's better family time. My kids are all grown. You can see the pictures. This is my daughter, 2 daughters, and my son. They're all married and out. So my wife and I, for convenience sake, we were eating out. We stopped eating out so much. But business stayed open. We had to adapt. I've got people that work for me with young children that are in school. So I had to send one of them, she's working from home. I can call her up on the phone. She's got a laptop computer. We adjusted. We learned that there's a whole lot of different ways to do things. We can adapt. You have to be adaptable to be in business. It didn't affect us greatly. Sales are down a little bit. A lot of people had to sell their cars because they didn't have jobs. A lot of people weren't buying new cars and that kind of thing. And so that affected our business a little bit, but I'm very fortunate that in this particular industry, it was not we weren't affected greatly. A lot of them were, a lot of people were, and hopefully our nation will learn something and we'll be able to avoid this in the future. I know a lot of young people working at restaurants and that kind of thing really struggled. And we tried to help out as much as possible by eating, just help those restaurants, those people that are not doing well. And that's where the networking group that I was in, where it helped. We were able to share each other's stories and help each other out. And a lot of people I know have lost people from COVID, and it's been very difficult. Okay, wasn't going to say this. Usually I tell this to older people, but there is a quote, "The Definition of Success" by Ralph Waldo Emerson. If you Google Ralph Waldo Emerson success quote, you'll get that quote, and I don't have it in front of me, but it talks about how to be successful. And his definition of success is making people smile, earning the respect of people who you work with, enduring false friends, making the world a better place, whether by a small garden patch or a redeemed social condition. That is, when I read that is where I put my focus. If I'm going to go do something and I might make some money at it and I'm going to hurt somebody, off the table. It's not going to happen. I'm going to do things that help people. I volunteer. I work with kids. I do this because this is, if something I say right here helps somebody to take 2 steps further in this world and be a little more comfortable, oh my goodness, I've succeeded. This is where I get my joy in doing those things. We volunteer, my wife and I volunteer at church, and we're working with 4-year-olds, and that is not my forte. I'm a high school teacher. But I'll tell you what, last night, this little program that we did, kid fell over and hurt themselves and was crying, and I got to pick that little girl up and put her on my knee, and I probably broke rules. I didn't have my mask on, but that I slept better last night than I have in forever, because that's where my joy comes from. I need this business, it feeds my family, it's going to be my inheritance, and I enjoy it. I enjoy talking to people. I get that opportunity, but made a lot of money, and he spent a lot of unhappy years just trying to hold on to that money. And so that's not my goal. I make enough money to be comfortable and do what I can to help the people around me. And that's where my joy comes from.
That's amazing. Usually I ask at the very end if you have any just life advice, but I feel like that was it.
I talk too much. You're going to get life
Oh,
advice no matter what you're doing, hearing from me. So,
yep, it was perfect.
cool.
Well, thanks for being here, Mitch, and I'm sure our students will love your advice and your story, and we will see you later.
Cool. Thank you for the opportunity. If you start a business, come talk to me. I'll help you. I've done accounting for 20 years. I'll give anybody advice if they want to come talk to me. So, all righty. Kristen, thank you. Very much appreciate the opportunity.